UK versus the world is so back, baby. Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Jer, and nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday. The time has finally come for Drag Race UK versus the World Season 3, and seeing so many of my favorites on my screen again has been incredible. And this UK versus the World is the most diverse yet. Season 1 had only 5 franchises represented, Season 2 had 7, but this season has 8 of them. That's extremely exciting. And hopefully that opens up the doors for even more international representation to give some of these incredible artists a bigger stage and a bigger platform to showcase what they can do, their stories, their drag, etc. I would love if the prize was more adequate for a global stage, but 50,000 pounds is nothing to shake a fist at. And this cast I am extremely excited for. They're already giving so much global excellence, and we're only in episode 1. Now, in the past, the crown has traditionally gone to a UK contestant. We saw Blue Hydrangea win season 1 and Tia Kofi win season 2. Regardless of how you feel about those wins, that is what happened, and a lot of people are feeling like that's going to happen again. A lot of fans are worried that these international contestants will suffer the same fate that some of these incredible artists that we've already seen come onto the show had, like Janie Jacquet, Pangina, Marina Summers, La Grande Dame. Counterpoint though, I think this cast, the odds are pretty evenly spaced across the board. On initial glance, it kind of seems like Kate is the most likely to win out of this group. But from episode 1, they seem to be featuring everyone pretty evenly, with the exception of 1 or 2 outliers. The tides could change, of course, at any time, but I'm hoping that after the backlash of the last 2 seasons, they'll give a shot to some of these international contestants rather than just write them off like they have traditionally in the past. All in favor of a UK queen. From this cast, I do wish that we had 2 more contestants. I would have loved to have seen Holland, maybe even Italia or España represented. Imagine a world where we got to see Chelsea Boy or a Love Masisi with someone like Aura Eternal or a Clover Beach, or all of them. I always want the versus the worlds to be huge, but I will admit this season is overflowing with so much talent already. Another ingredient may have thrown off the soup. Episode 1 tasks the queens with a Ruru Vision song contest. It's always bothered me that the Ru Judge talent shows have devolved into basically just a lip sync and a dance number. We don't see a lot of spectacular, crazy numbers like we see in international seasons. I'm thinking specifically in the Philippines, España, even Drag Race France. But seeing as how that's our current reality, I appreciate the format of this Eurovision song contest, riffing directly off of Eurovision. I'm glad that they decided to lean into that rather than say, hey, it's a talent show, and then everyone just lip syncs and dances, because that's what Ru kind of tends to expect these days. And anytime something is done outside of that, it's almost always guaranteed to be in the bottom. I like the presentational layout, how they introduced each country with some funny banter for each one of them. So let's talk about the entrances, the Eurovision contest, as well as the 4 Queen and Country runway, as well as some light stories that are already developing. Kate Butch is the first onto the main stage, looking like a main character of a daytime soap. I remember liking Kate in her original season, but I don't remember much about UK 5 because unfortunately I am brain rotted to death. And if you watched my video last month about how many seasons I watched just in the last year, there's a lot that's floating around up here. Kate struggled with fashion and with aesthetics, which is always a point of contention for Ru & Co. With only a few outliers, being a glamazon has always been a priority for crowning the next drag superstar. And I think already Kate is managing to bring her unique comedy set with an updated lookbook. And I think it's already exciting to see how she's evolved since her last appearance. Kate is very much playing the Tia Kofi and Lemon style of versus the world gameplay. She wants to play everything fair, doesn't want to get her hands dirty, doesn't want to do any kind of nasty gameplay, and is already being cautious about setting up any kind of alliance with the other 2 UK queens. When they were discussing strategy, and Zahira and Sminty were kind of on the same page of, let's get with the strongest player, let's snipe them out, let's try and play this a very specific way so that we can make it to the end, Kate was pretty adamant that she wanted to be hands-off. She doesn't want to screw anyone over with her actions, and I think that's an admirable gameplay strategy. For Eurovision, she of course leaned in on comedy. Her song is about how this time, maybe she won't be so at the show. And it was a freaking funny song. I always love some self-depreciating humor it was basically like a song out of a musical, and now I desperately need the All-Stars musical, a la the Vegas show, where the queens come in and do the Baby We Made It, but then they'll have their own individual songs about a kind of archetype on the show. These songs about how the queens got eliminated, I think get a bit referential at times. They get a bit boring, and I think Graham said it best, that the thing they choose to harp on is only important to them and not to anybody else. But I think Kate was brilliant with her approach to this song. And then for her Queen and Country runway, Kate is presenting this political message to highlight the problematic past as well as the present of the UK. The aged Union Jacks with this glitzy blood on the hands, I think was a perfect intersection of where drag meets something a bit more conceptual, and drag should be political at the end of the day. She said during critiques that she didn't want to bring anything that displayed pride for her country. I stand a self-aware Caucasian person who wants to hold themselves and their peers to a higher standard, because a lot of light-skinned folks act like that minimum behavior is a chore and a bother. And so even though this is the bare minimum and the bar is quite literally in hell, I appreciate that Kate is aware of this. And I think a lot of light-skinned queens on the show haven't had this particular thought process and haven't displayed it. We've seen a lot of queens of color share this story. We've had a lot of immigrants share this story, but very rarely do we see the Caucasian contestants bring this up on the runway. Her somber walk sold this look to me. I just wish that the judges weren't cracking jokes, or if the editors had just cut out the commentary altogether. It was like they knew in post that this was an important conversation and still thought, LOL, what if we just still kept the pole joke? We're so quirky. They had more than enough of Kate narrating her runway that they could have cut out all the judges' commentary and just overlaid it with Kate talking about it. Because in the moment, I'm sure the judges didn't know what the look was meant to be. That's why they asked for more clarity during critiques. But the editors in post knew what this was and still chose to keep those dumb jokes. And I think it plays right into what Kate is talking about, is that shame is not a thing that is felt by everyone. And the editors of this runway should feel a little bit ashamed for what they did. And before anyone says, you're being too sensitive, shut the f up. This was a super slay of a look. Next up is Fontana from Drag Race Sweden. Diva alert. She is out here looking like the only diva in this pink winged bodysuit. It was giving me pink Moltres. Fontana is a force, and y'all may think that you are ready for what she's going to bring, but y'all are not ready. And if you have any time at all in between episodes, I would highly recommend going and watching Drag Race Sweden, because it is the moment. Her energy is going to deliver every single week. Ow. She's shown first in the talent show, which was, I think, a good choice because she set the energy bar impossibly high. Her track sounded so damn good in not only the vocals, but also the audio mixing. This was such a streamable song, which I think is important. I do have one big story point that I want to bring up, because the guest judge was Loreen, aka the bitch who had a lot to say about Fontana in her original season and was running her mouth that Fontana had quote unquote clown energy and not to hide behind a fake positive bloody smile. I am already at war with this woman for the things that she said to Fontana, because they were not only rude but also unnecessary. I digress. If there was any story at all between them, it was entirely cut out, and I don't understand why. There are a few guest judges in the Drag Race history that are coming to my mind. I'm thinking about Alec Mapa in All Stars 6, talking about Kylie and how she did so poorly in the Snatch game, to seeing her evolve by All Stars 6. I'm thinking about Ross Matthews to Jeremy in All Stars 2, being there for that bomb of a Lady Gaga Snatch game, to seeing Jeremy do much better in All Stars 2. There's usually a small storyline of, I remember you when I judged you the first time, and you've grown so much since then. Loreen acted like she had never seen Fontana before. And you know what? It's very possible that the diva forgot, but how do you forget? Having already been a judge on a major show like Drag Race, especially on the only season of a version of said show, the home country you also come from. She was very complimentary to Fontana, which, you know what? I'll let bygones be bygones. But I will have it be known, I'm a Latino Virgo. I never forget. I was just certain that there would be some type of storyline that Fontana would bring up that Loreen did not like her the first time around, and then get this sort of redemptive moment, especially since she won the Euphoria lip sync in Drag Race Sweden, and then won another Loreen song here. That is Drag Race storytelling at its finest, and they didn't do anything with that. It was T-ball! Get my pocketbook. For Queen and Country, Fontana is doing a tribute to ABBA. I like the camp of this big crown surrounding her. She looks stunning in cobalt blue. It is a total slay. Next up is Godland. She says she's a little bitch from Thailand, then she beats the shit up out of a ghost. Move over, Georges, because Godland is now here to punch the supernatural. I love this girl so much. She is one of the main reasons why I kept watching Drag Race Thailand Season 3. And if y'all know anything about my lore, I was not a fan of the production of Drag Race Thailand Season 3, but Godland, Frankie Wonga, and Nane Sphera kept me locked in. She's a sickening pull from Drag Race Thailand. I'm hoping that with more eyes being focused on the Thai queens, specifically with Siam last year and now Godland, maybe the world will be more open and receptive towards queens like Jeannie or Vanda, who I think would be amazing pulls from that franchise. Godland is already bringing so much bombastic energy to this series. I think much like Fontana, you guys are not ready for her. Godland is my second pick for the winner of this season, as Fontana is my number one. For Revision, Godland is bringing insanely high energy. Her fire gun was incredibly impressive, and I think that set her apart in a series of just fierce performances with no gimmicks or stunts. For her Queen and Country, Godland is presenting some Thai food, carrying the torch in the same way that Siam did in Slation Royale with her first runway, also presenting some Thai cuisine. I think this lobster outfit was a perfect meeting point of couture and camp, exactly what I expect not only from her, but elevated to what I think her audience would respond to better, because Rue and Michelle tend to love elevated camp. And I think Godland was smart to understand her audience and the stage she's currently performing on. If she keeps this up, she's got a one-way ticket to the finale, and I swear she is going to win. I feel it. This is a slay of a look. Next is Zahira representing Drag Race UK Season 6. Diva Alert Part 2. One of 3 fierce Pinoy queens this season. Zahira seems super locked in and ready to do what needs to be done this time around. And for that, I'm very excited. I never saw her original season, so I am good and proper ready to perceive her. I could see so many Asian pop idols wearing this Tiffany blue 2-piece costume. She is serving astronomical levels of puss. And I appreciate that she gave a different side to her personality when it came to her Revision set. She went in a more comedic route, a fun break from the 2 super high fierce energy performances previous. Her set made me laugh intensely, showing this suspicious gentleman who wanted to feel his femme fantasy. And high-key, I love an irreverent off-color humor that would make a youth literally split their noggin in half for the mere mention of the phrase CD fashion. Drag is meant to be cheeky at times, and make no mistake, this was double cheeked up on a Tuesday. I loved it. For Queen and Country, Zahira is giving us some Big Ben inspiration. I love her in copper, and I think that headpiece was sick. It's a slay of a look. Next up is the only Naomi representing Drag Race Germany. I don't speak German, but I wish I could. My favorite part of her entrance is that Fontana knew exactly who she was. And I noticed at this point that this entire group seems so excited for each other. I think they can tell that there's something different about this particular season. The joy they felt for each other's entrances was extremely palpable. Naomi is stunning, but doesn't seem to take herself too seriously, which I love. For Revision, Naomi is taking another comedic direction for her number. Both her pit crew boys were hot as hell, and I think that was a bit to her disadvantage because I kept looking at them. The pecs were pecking. I found myself feeling like her number did not have enough levels, but hey, it made an impression on Rue, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. However, if she really wanted to get RuPaul's attention, her song should have been something along the lines of Pretty Blonde Twinks. And then she would have won the night. For Queen and Country, Naomi is presenting the Cologne Cathedral. This is some iconic German architecture and imagery, and I think it was well translated into a drag look. These shades of beige were exciting to me when these colors are normally pretty dull and flat. It's a slay of a look. Next up is Mariah Balenciaga representing the US Season 3 as well as All Stars 5. Can I say, Mariah was actively disrespected in All Stars 5, given dust, and so I was kind of surprised that she said yes to another appearance. She's a great representative for the US in my opinion, kind of similar to a Scarlet Envy, because Mariah doesn't seem like an obvious push to the finale. I think Mariah will get there completely on her own merit. She's looking so damn good, sort of upscaling her original season 3 entrance look, even down to that ponytail, but adding more grand details to it. And I agree with Mariah on something very, very important. Never ask me if I remember you. That is a horribly rude question. I was living with a capital L for her Ruruvision performance. It was in the same font as her All Stars 5 talent show. This time, sharing this sort of restrained anger for how we are actively mistreating the world. I'm a sucker for performance art, and this was. For Queen and Country, Mariah says she's representing the black cowboy. All I saw was kink girl. The textures were very much reading a black handkerchief, and for anyone that is not caught up on their hanky code, black hankies typically symbolize S&M or BDSM, and so I thought with the leather whip and with the mustache, I thought she was representing kink culture. Regardless, this is something extremely different from Mariah's typical Drag Race packaging. We usually see this high femme pageantry, high womana type of looks, ballroom. So I appreciated the versatility of look 1, being so different from everything we've seen from Mariah so far. I assume that she's going to bring a lot of unexpected silhouettes since she's on a global stage now, and I can't wait for it. Slays all around. Next up is Sminty Drop representing UK Season 4. Not too long ago, I actually covered this season on my weekly podcast. Feel free to go check that out. Sminty was a fun time on her original season, and unfortunately had a bad episode in that improv challenge. So I'm excited to see how she's grown since then. Diva Alert Part 3 because she looks so boss! She is serving sex on a stick in this corseted LBD. She is so hot, it's not even fair. And Sminty has already started discussing gameplay, and I live for her thought process. This year, she wants to align herself with the strongest player and use them to snipe out some of the weaker players. I with that gameplay. That's how you play. Especially since the last UK versus the world, Michelle specifically asked why the UK contestants don't really play that hard. Unfortunately, Kate does not want to unite with her and Zahira, so I'm wondering if the UK doesn't have much strength in numbers, what that will do for Sminty in particular, because Zahira can lean in on her fellow Filipinas. She has Minty and Melinda here, and if they loop in Godland, they can just be Team Slasian Part 2. So then where does that leave Sminty? She's kind of alone. If she doesn't have any allies, that could spell doom for her kind of early. For Ruruvision, Sminty worked me out the hardest of the comedy performances. Opening with, "Hi, I'm depressed," was such relatable divitude. And then revealing into her moth look that got her eliminated was everything I needed and more. This performance was fierce comedy about just twerking when things go bad, or just kill them. And I thought it was an entire vibe. I love the line, "When RuPaul is looking old and tired, oh my god, she's looking right at me." I love a queen who can look directly in the eyes of Ruth Paul Charles Dickinson and make a joke at her expense, because Ru's a good sport. She can take those kind of jokes, especially if it's funny. She loves to laugh at shit like that. Sminty is already proving that she's unafraid this go around. And for Queen and Country, Sminty is giving us a swan look because they are protected in the UK. It's a simple but beautiful look. Maybe a little too simple for week 1. I fear this held her back from the win. It's lovely, but stacked up against everyone else, it just doesn't push hard enough because it lacks that element of surprise and excitement. It's a slay regardless, it just wasn't enough of a slay to snatch that win. Next in representing Drag Race Philippines Season 1 is Minty Fresh. From what we know, this season I think was filmed sometime back in March, and Slasian was filmed either in April or May and just got a quick edit, where this one stayed in the can for a long time for some reason. And I always wonder how queens feel having competed on a version of All Stars when their home country also got some type of All Stars competition. Similar to maybe Arancha in UK vs. the World Season 2 when España All Stars was just starting to film around that same time. It makes my brain twist and turn thinking about how Minty would have done back in front of Mama Pao. know. And if she had been there instead, would they have replaced her spot with someone like a Venus or a Brigading? Or would they have pulled someone else from that roster like a Yuhua or a Madame Yoko to come and be a part of this cast? Anyways, just things I think about. Minty has some really high expectations for her, considering that Marina did very well in UK vs. the World Season 2. Even though this was filmed first, Brigading just won Slasian Royale. Venus was top 2 of that season, and so the Philippines 1 girls have a lot of expectations on them because they all tear in competitions. I did, however, sense her annoyance with already being compared to Marina once again, because that storyline kind of plagued her in Philippines 1. The two of them had drama, and I'm sure that she was ready to kind of have a fresh start, have her Drag Race storyline reset this time around, but it seems like Marina's already being brought up. And so I wonder how much that will be held in comparison to her. Will Rue and Michelle bring that up on the runway? That they've seen Marina do really well, and so they're expecting her to do good in turn. That cannot be a fun comparison, especially since that was a lot of her season 1 journey. For her Rue Revision performance, I thought she looked really spectacular. I love a crushed glass dance costume, and overall I think she sounded amazing. The beat on this track was sickening, but why did RuPaul look like she was already over it and confused? About midway through. Like she hated it without even giving it a chance. For Queen and Country, Minty is inspired by the thrift shops of the Philippines. Minty, what is this? I like the messaging of this look, but there were so many textiles, so many prints that it was overwhelming to my eyes. I would have really lived if it was just 4 or 5 patterns and not 78. I think this is my first chop, and I'm so sorry. This look is not for me, and I think that's okay. Next in, representing Drag Race Mexico Season 1 is Serena Morena. We just started reviewing this season for my weekly podcast, if you want to go check that out after this. Serena has a fantastic personality, a great energy that always perseveres. No matter what criticism she's getting or what negativity comes her way, she's always smiling through it. Her biggest flaw on Drag Race, her original time, was that her aesthetics were kind of lousy. So she's got only up to go from here. She says it's an orgasm to be here, and I love that approach to life. Enjoy every spurt and every drop. Her Ruru vision was the outer workings of a madwoman, and I say that in the best way possible. It's a comedy number about a vibrator gone wrong, but she's still enjoying herself and having fun, and please don't come in. Mama, this is drag. Psychotic, unwell behavior for certain, but drag. And for Queen and Country, Serena is giving us a volume. I love this big feather headpiece, but I wish the outfit had a bit more shape because it's just a rectangle. She seems so happy to be on that stage, and I was really hoping that her fashion game was going to be severe from the jump, but it's just not there right now, sadly. Unfortunately, this look is also a chop. And last on the stage is Melinda Verga, representing Canada's Drag Race Season 4. My God, am I so excited that Melinda is here. And if you think about her name and you know Spanish, Melinda Verga is a brilliant drag name. Even if these queens did not watch her original season, they absolutely saw her viral outburst. I stan this woman so fiercely, and I am incredibly grateful that she's here. For Ruru Vision, I appreciate the boldness to sing live, but to do so without a backing track to support those live vocals was not a smart move at all. Her tone started out okay, but then progressively got more flat, and it was lacking emotion. It was a problem of circumstance, I fear, because she did mention that she was losing her voice. That's why you need a backing track diva. And for Queen and Country, Melinda is inspired by the Alberta cowboy culture. I love the little maple leaves everywhere. Her mind. And it is rhinestoned within an inch of its life. Something I always respond positively to. It's a slay of a look. Rue says that in the spirit of getting to know everyone that no one is gonna go home. Thank God. Fontana, Godlin, Naomi, Sminty, and Kate all receive positive critiques, while everyone else are left to go and hang out in the Untucked Lounge. With Godlin and Fontana ultimately snagging the top 2, and they will lip sync to the song Tattoo by Loreen. This was a bloodbath. Neither of them were holding back. They were giving everything to that stage. And normally, I'm kind of used to slightly boring Drag Race lip syncs. I don't expect a lot these days. Most of the time, everything is sort of just referential of things we've already seen. Everyone's trying to have their Sasha Velour moment where they reveal something that no one was expecting, or they've got a trick up their sleeve. A lot of times they just sort of fall short, but not this lip sync. This lip sync was exciting. Every stunt from Fontana was so well timed. Her presence was massive. Meanwhile, Godland was embodying that song. She was chomping on those words, and her facial expressions were so restrained but grand. This easily could have gone to either one of them, or been a double win. Fontana is called as the winner. Cosmic justice for Loreen being such a pill to her in Drag Race Sweden. And I can't recall, but have many queens on Drag Race lip sync to the same artist twice on 2 different franchises and won both times? Because initially I can only think about Alyssa doing Shut Up and Drive in All Stars 2, and then coming back for Global and doing Only Girl in the World and winning both of those. The list is kind of small, and I can't think of many queens that have done that. So with Fontana winning this lip sync, it's kind of groundbreaking. Being on completely different continents, completely different franchises, in front of completely different judges. That's huge. Winning the lip sync song of the same artist in front of them too. That is also okay. Fontana won a lip sync of an artist that was in the room performing their song twice on 2 different continents. She may be the only queen that's ever done that. Next week, eliminations start up, and that I am so bummed about. I'm already pinning Minty as someone who might go home early because the judges just are not seeming to be excited about her for some reason, and I'm not really sure where Melinda's gonna go. I think she's incredible, but I just don't know if the judges connected with her very well this episode. Next week is to take a drag look of the past and then rework it into something fierce, I'm certain. It looks like they got them to provide the exact costumes they wore on Drag Race. And if I know how much Drag Race loves to reference Project Runway and dupe their challenges, I can only imagine that this will be a take something out of your suitcase that you previously wore, but surprise, the twist is that you have to give it to someone else in the room, shred it up, and then rework it. So they may have brought these looks anticipating that they were gonna upcycle it, and that's probably why Godland was freaking out in the trailer watching her garment be ripped up. I would freak out too. I'm so excited for this season already, and it's such a breath of fresh air in comparison to Drag Race Season 18, which I think is not being so subtle about its production. Normally I'm not too excited about Ru's seasons, but I do feel like this cast will make up for the Gans that I'm sure that Ru and Co will shenan, but we will see. Make sure to let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Thank you so much to all my Extravaganza Extra members for supporting this channel, and I will see y'all on the flip. Move over, Georges, because Godland is here to punch ghosts. Wow, that's your muffler.